All right. Hey, everybody. This is Joe McCamey. I'm the general manager at Markram's Pharmacy. A lot of you probably know me just being around over the years. And a lot of you actually probably already know this guy. He's been super active in the community for the last several years. And we're super excited to have him come join us at Markram's Pharmacy. So I hope you guys will stop by, say hi, give him a big welcome to Markram's Pharmacy. He's going to be an unbelievable addition to our team here. And we're excited to see all the things, all the great things he's going to accomplish as we continue to just serve this community. So, uh, many of you know him already. A lot of you probably saw his video on Facebook earlier this week, or by the time you see this, maybe last week, where he let us know in a LeBron James fashion that he was taking his talents to Markram's Pharmacy. Right. So that was, we got a lot of great comments over that. That was a super cool video that he came up with and wanted to do. So it was really cool, really cool. So, Robbie, you've been in Manchester for about 3 years now, right? So a lot of people already know you, but I wanted to make sure all of our Markrams family knew you as well. So just tell us about you and your family and just some general information about Robbie.
Yeah, so I'm from Clintwood, Virginia. It's a little town. The way I describe it to folks, and I just started doing this in the last maybe month, is if you look at Virginia and you picture it like a foot, the big toe has a bunion.
Okay.
And that's where I'm from. I'm from that little part of Virginia that kind of sticks up really close to Tennessee, really close to Kentucky.
If you have a bunion, we probably have a compound.
We can take care of that. Yes, everything's Italian, man. But yeah.
Right.
So grew up there. My dad was a coal miner. His dad, really everyone mined coal. And my dad, he got hurt in '89. He's okay. He just couldn't work anymore. And dad said he's going to make sure. His saying actually was, if I stand at the door of the school with a shotgun and make sure you go to school, you're not going to mine coal. So gotcha. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
And I found the job at Rite Aid Pharmacy in Flintwood, Virginia in 2002. A great friend of mine, Grant Mullins, shout out to Grant if you see this, was going to pharmacy school, and he called me and asked if I'd be interested. And so I went up, met the crew, loved it. It was a great mixture of people, just, computers, numbers, just things that are a little challenging. There's a lot of cool challenges there. So I loved it. Did that all through college. So I graduated from high school. I wanted to be a teacher and coach sports until I did a student teaching assignment and realized I'd have a job for about 5 minutes. I don't know how you school teachers do that. Changed my major quickly. Graduated from UVA Wise in 2006. I married my wife. Started pharmacy school, ETSU. If you saw my video, I know everybody's a UT folks, and that's all great. But I love to say that it's the greatest pharmacy school in all the land, and I will jokingly argue that with the Markrams. But yeah, I went to ETSU. I was in the first class there. I was actually our first student body vice president, which was really cool.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was.
That's cool.
I didn't do the best job. That's really why I don't talk about it. But it's like I tell people all the time, I'm matured a lot in pharmacy school because I was one of. My wife would say I'm still maturing, and she's right. But um, I
We all are.
yeah,
As husbands.
yeah, I was never, and I hope this sounds right. Wasn't challenged a whole lot in school, in high school. Wasn't even challenged a great deal in college. To the point that I really had to learn to study. I had to learn to really buckle down. And when I got to pharmacy school, wow, I showed up a big fish in a smaller pond. That was my whole life. Well, then the pond got bigger, and I wasn't a big fish anymore. And I remember vividly, I had a classmate who I loved. We were playing an intramural basketball game, and I was a little full of myself. We were playing the med school, so that was a big rivalry. And Jason Frisbee, I love that guy. He came up to me and said, Robbie, you're kind of being a little bit of a jerk to these guys. He's like, yeah, he said, you don't need to work with these guys. And this is Frisbee in a basketball game, had the presence of mind to say, how we act out here is going to be remembered when we go to work.
That's right. Yeah.
And I credit a lot to that time in pharmacy school. A lot of growth happened there.
Nice. So your family,
Yep.
tell us about your family. You mentioned your wife,
Yes.
got a couple of kids.
So my wife, Kate and I have been married for 18 years. Excuse me, 17. We'll celebrate our 18th coming up in June. I'm already thinking about it.
Wise man.
Yes. Well, I don't want to mess it up. And so we got married 2 weeks after I graduated from college. She has been one of God's greatest blessings to me, and I'm not just saying that because she'll probably see this. She genuinely is, and you'll probably say the same about your wife.
That's right.
It's or you should.
That's
We
right.
all should say that.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah, we have Allison and Marcus. You may have seen us on like ball fields, uh, or in the basketball gym. Marcus played basketball here at College Street. Marcus is in fifth grade at College Street. Allison is in seventh grade at Westwood, and they were adopted. They were biological siblings.
Okay.
And that's an incredible story of how God moved in our life. But the short version of that is, we've been praying about adoption for a long time. The adoption started in 2013. It was finalized in 15. A little process there, but so we got Marcus right before his first birthday. We were able to celebrate his first birthday.
Yeah.
And Allison, the process took a little longer, but they're incredible. So my parents have just recently, they still have the house in Clintwood, but they now rent a place down here to spend
Okay.
some more time with the kids. So
Nice.
you'll probably see them around.
Yeah.
We're not small people. My dad, he's also tall, so is my mom. But yeah, to have our family down here in Middle Tennessee, um, a lot of folks, when I talk to people, the question comes up sometimes of how I wound up in Manchester.
Yeah. That was going to be my next.
Okay.
Yeah. How'd you end up in Manchester?
So I often say, where I grew up in, if you look up Clintwood, Virginia, if you can find some pictures, or the Break Center State Park, all the area where I'm from, it's beautiful mountainous country. And I will jokingly say that if you flattened it out, it's a lot like Manchester. Like the people are very similar.
Yeah.
Great people, small town, very great community, people caring for one another, communities of faith. This is a great community. So when I moved down here, um, in pharmacy, I'd worked in pharmacy at different places up through 2019. Got out of pharmacy for a little while, and I wanted to work in a food manufacturing facility, which I quickly got out of my depth. And I was honest. I did a good job at the thing they asked me to do, but as it got bigger, I was like, you need someone else, and I need to go back to pharmacy. I was really, I think, being called back into pharmacy. And so the opportunity to come to Manchester came up, and if you'd given me $1 million to have pointed out Manchester on a map, I couldn't have done it.
So you never came to Bonnaroo?
No, I've been a music fan my whole life, but I'm not a fan of large crowds.
Gotcha.
I'm also, like, I almost talked my mom into a funny story. Lollapalooza, I believe,
Right.
in '94. So I would have been fifth, sixth grade. I don't know. I was young, and mom, that was before the internet, really. So I had almost convinced my mom to let me get Lollapalooza tickets until she finally was able to do some research, and she cut that really quickly.
Definitely.
That was almost my one festival, but
Yeah.
yeah, Manchester. Gosh, we love it. When we first moved to Middle Tennessee, we lived up in Murfreesboro, and that's a nice area. But I was always working down here in Manchester, and our kids really were getting plugged into the community.
Sure.
Katie was getting plugged into the community, so we had an opportunity to move down here in December, and I love it. It's
December
21. Yep, December 21. And we've loved it. Every so often I have an interesting revelation of like just how wonderful this is, because Flintwood will always be home. But I've reached a point in life where, and you may feel this as well sometimes, is when I go home to Clintwood now, that now feels like visiting somewhere.
Right.
And as I get closer to Manchester,
right.
This is coming home. So my 40th birthday was not long ago, and my wife threw an incredible surprise party. And we've only been here, 3 years? But to be surrounded by a community of friends
Mm.
and folks that I love that showed up and filled my front yard. I was blown away.
It's interesting to me that you say that because I definitely feel the same way. You know, I'm not a native. Now, granted, I had the advantage of marrying into the Markram family, and so I got some probably special
Yeah,
treatment. Right.
you got some instant cred
That's
right
right.
there.
That's right. So that was good. But what I found is, and I think you're speaking to it too, is there's these people out there that are like, oh, you can't break into the Manchester community and that kind of thing. And you know, you've been here 3 years and you're deeply ingrained in this community already. Now, you know, not only did I have the Markram family, but I've been here 20 plus years now, and I feel like people treat me like I've been here my whole life.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I've lived here longer than I did you know, growing up where
Mhm.
I lived, where I grew up. And again, my situation is similar to yours. I grew up in a small town that, in a county that had a smaller town that was the county seat, and then the bigger town that looked down on the smaller town. And so I feel like I grew up in Coffee County
Yeah.
because my situation was very, very similar. So anyway, we're here to talk about you, talk about me. So you know, thinking about your background, one of the things that we were so excited about Robbie coming here is, of course, he had some corporate background, which is important. We don't want to be corporate, but it gives you an idea of the bigger picture of things. And then he's been employed by two independent pharmacies as well, so he has that independent experience too. So just a wide range of experience over his career that is going to add so much value to what we do here at Markram. So, talk a little bit about your time at that first independent pharmacy, Corley's
Yeah.
in East Tennessee.
So that was the pharmacy that when I was in pharmacy school, I can remember Alan Corley being one of those people that was a giant when we were in school.
Sure,
Kind of like the Markram, a Ray Markram here. Actually, Alan and Ray were classmates in the University of Tennessee.
kind of bizarre.
It is so great.
Kind of full circle.
And
Right.
I've texted Alan and we've talked about the Markrams, and he's always spoken so highly of them. And uh, at Corley's Pharmacy, I fell in love with independent pharmacy because I always loved pharmacy in that I love taking care of people. No matter what I would be doing as a profession, I've always just been built to just care for people. And I think that's important in that part of getting into the community is, even when I clock out, I still care for people.
That's
Like,
right.
we're going to be together at the ball fields. We're going to be together at the rec center. We're going to be caring in this community. And I think that goes a long way. Corley's was the place where Alan, he allowed me to make some mistakes. He taught me to do some things correctly. Uh, and he saw something in me that I really, I can't appreciate enough in that I love pharmacy. I love small town community, and he showed me you can do small town independent pharmacy and do it extremely well. Very high caliber care, and I just man, I was hooked on that. Um, they still have a very strong business up in Greenville, Tennessee. One of my classmates, Jeff Ward, is now there with Alan, doing wonderful work. It just taught me to love a lot of things that we're still doing here. A lot of the med sync was kind of starting back then.
Sure.
The vaccinations. I remember that was around the time we were just starting to really be able to vaccinate folks, and we joke about this um, because I am a pharmacist. I kind of know what we do, but if you ask someone what a pharmacist does, most people have zero
That's
clue.
right.
I was joking with this the other day that even the news channels, when they do a story on pharmacy, it's always the same video of someone, just counting on a tray. And we don't even, the majority of our counting isn't done that way anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So,
It's electronic now.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's, you know, and that's part of pharmacy's struggle is, the old Seinfeld joke of, can you feel this way up there? I don't know what's going on up there. There's still a little bit because, we have to be private and keep your information, you know, really protected and all of that. But I think that's one of the things we've not done a great job of in the profession. I don't mean we, but the profession needs to explain what we do to people
Sure.
more. And that's one of the reasons I love being uh, out in the community, representing the pharmacy, because the more we get our name and our profession out there, it is going to cause more people to ask questions. We are looking at, I know we have a lot of high schoolers that work here, and I love that because now
Most of
pharmacy,
the time. We love that most
yeah,
of the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So be patient with our high school students when they're learning.
right. But they, just for them to be exposed, because I look at myself. I started in pharmacy as I believe I was a sophomore in college.
Okay.
And I'm sure I made more mistakes than our current high school students.
We have great students.
But just how many students, as large as, say Coffee County High School is, there's got to be a handful of students that would be great pharmacists.
That's right.
And so to be exposing us, what we do to them is incredible.
And for them to know, like what you said, we do so much more
Mhm.
in the pharmacy than just look at pills all day long. And so, we were actually at the job fair
Mhm.
at the high school earlier this week or last week actually, and one of the things that we were communicating with them was we're really kind of the final piece of the healthcare system, right? So we're the one that closes the loop, so to speak. So you might go to your heart doctor, and then you go to your regular doctor, and then you go to your endocrinologist, and you go to all these different providers, and they're all sending us prescriptions. Well, who kind of has that final look to say, okay, does this all make sense together? It's the pharmacist.
Right.
And that's why it's such a huge and important part and plays such a huge role in the healthcare of an individual, because we're seeing the whole picture, whereas these other doctors, as much as they try, they don't have the time or opportunity to see the whole picture. And the pharmacist gets to see the whole picture and put it together, and it's just huge. And people just don't get that sometimes, that it's not just the pills. So to tell a story, probably almost 3 years ago now, Richard Randolph and I, of course, one of our long-term pharmacists that everybody seems to know, we were at a conference in Nashville with our pharmacy management system. So the software that we run, that you guys get so frustrated with our app. Sorry about that. Uh, it the only thing I like about that is that I get to blame them.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I like about that. But anyway, so we're at this conference, and Robbie had moved to the area and was at a pharmacy here in town, and he came over to Richard and I and said, "Hey, I know you guys. I want to meet you guys." And we just had this great conversation. And I'll be honest, when Robbie walked off, I looked at Richard and I said two things. I said, first, I know that a lot of people are going to see this, and I hate to say what I'm about to say, but I wasn't super worried about our competition at that point, because we stand on the shoulders of giants, and Ray and Tom and so many others have done such great things, and even their dad. And I just wasn't super worried about this new pharmacy in town until I met Robbie. And I was like, that guy could cause us problems, right? Because um, it, his personality is bigger than he is, and he loves people. He cares about people. I could tell that in that first 30 to 45-minute conversation we had. And I was like, this guy gets it. He understands what it means to serve people in a small town. And I think no matter what profession he was in, that's what he would be doing. He would be serving people and taking care of people. And when you're doing that, you really get it. And I saw that in him. And so I told Richard, I said, he's going to be a problem for us. And sure enough, he has been kind of a thorn in our side at times. But the second thing I said to Richard that day, I said, someday we're going to hire that guy, because he does it. Just a little bit I saw, I was like, he does it the way we do it at Markram's, and that's where he fits. So that's my side of the story. What's your side of the story in coming
Yeah.
to Markram's Pharmacy?
So I remember that conversation well because, and the part Joe in his humility is going to say, he actually was speaking at this conference. I remember that, and I think I went to your talk, and it was better than he will let off. But I had talked to Richard on the phone, but in this profession, sometimes even when we talk to physicians' offices and nursing staffs and folks, it's so fun sometimes to put a face to a name. And I just went up and talked to these guys. And similar to what you're saying, we hit it off.
Yeah.
Um, again, we go back to Alan Corley, who I consider one of my mentors. Uh, because of me coming down here, Alan had told me about the Markham brothers. And so I was already primed to the name and to watch what they were doing. And I've shared this with the team here. Uh, I shared actually when I was introducing myself to the team, the analogy of you ever seen a dog chase a car, and that dog never thinks, I'm going to catch that car, and he's just chasing the car, right? Because the car is something to chase. And just the same way Markham's was always something to chase. And I said, what's going to happen when the dog catches the car? Because that's what we're about to find out. I've been chasing what's been done here. Um, the thing that I see about Markham's is there's a legacy of, you said it well, we're standing on the shoulder of giants in our industry in the state of Tennessee. Those are giant names. You talk about Markham, Corley, those are names that we're standing on 40 some years of what they've done.
Yeah.
100 years when you add the family. That's outstanding. So there's the legacy. Um, I believe that the Lord is honored in the way that we practice pharmacy. I genuinely do. Um, and I see an opportunity. Uh, Markham serves the community really well. It's everywhere. I remember, even like I said, I was chasing these guys, and one of our mutual friends, Josh Peterson, we would I would call in, and my kids loved to call in on his morning show and guess his super silly stat.
Yeah.
And I would always be driving, and I could remember hearing, your voice come on the radio, and my kids would be like, that other pharmacy, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, that's my. So, they were everywhere. So the opportunity to jump on board with that was great. And what I told Joe is, as great as Markham's is, and I believe it's great, with all the humility in the world, I think I'm pretty good at what I do as well. And I think the combination is just going to elevate opportunities to serve the community, elevate what we can offer here, and to carry that legacy further because, we're looking to serve this community. I know a lot of folks look at Markham's and they kind of look in the rearview mirror sometimes at everything we have done.
Right.
But as much as we're honoring that, now you and we're looking out there and plotting a course. So
That's right.
that's exciting to me.
So to your point, I just was listening to a book just this morning on the way into work, and one of the things that it talked about was that while you have to respect your past, your goal is also to be a great ancestor.
Mhm.
So Ray and HD and Tom and all these people have been great ancestors to us, but I think our goal now is to be great ancestors to the next generation, to get things ready for them, to leave them in the great spot that they've left us. And so in order to do that, we've got to change and grow and do different things. And so I'm just excited about having you on board to do that. Before we get into some of your personal life and some of your personal passions, what are your favorite parts of pharmacy, and what would you like to see us accomplish here at Markham's Pharmacy that maybe we're not doing yet, or maybe that we could get better at? Because as great as things are, we can always improve.
Um, I, I love taking care of people, and I know that's a very broad statement. So how do I'm going to say that's a global answer, but so what does that mean? Again, pharmacy, how do you take care of people well? One of them is MedSync, a program that we offer here to align all your medications to, minimize your number of trips to the pharmacy and to make the time that we're together much better and better for you. And, you can learn more. You have more opportunity to spend time with the pharmacy team. It's great for everyone. So MedSync is something that I'm really passionate about. Um, I'm really something I'm super passionate about is just overall customer service. To make sure I've always said I used to lecture at the College of Pharmacy, and I would often say, we all pretty much take similar healthcare plans. For the most, that's changed a lot lately. But we sell similar drugs. We all do kind of the same thing. What sets us apart is service. It's the Chick-fil-A model people talk about all the time. I joke with my wife that sometimes the food is it's not no offense, Chandler. Like the food is great. The food is great, but yeah, but the food is not why I go to Chick-fil-A. It's the service and the fries. The fries are great, but the service is outstanding.
I've eaten one too many of those.
Oh, I've eaten 100 too many. You can tell. I keep looking at the camera. And I'm like, goodness, I wore the wrong shirt. But yeah, so that customer service, ultimately, one of the things I'm super drawn to is caring for folks who I know Scripture would call the least of these.
Yeah.
Um, I have grown up in a community and a family, if I'm being completely transparent, torn apart with addiction. And I'm incredibly passionate about caring for those folks. Now, I've seen that done incredibly well. I walked with a dear cousin of, I say mine, she's my wife's cousin, but she's my cousin. Walked with her through her recovery journey, and I'm so incredibly proud of where she is now. Um, that's incredible. I've seen the side of it that is not always as successful. I preached my sister's funeral in a drug related car accident, and so I have walked that road uh, myself. So I'm incredibly passionate about caring for those people. Um, Now, here's the difficult part. How do we care for them?
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of folks in our profession even are. We're having arguments is too strong of a word, but we're trying to find the right way to do it because we're wanting to really see life change happen. So I'm really passionate about finding the right way to care for folks because if you've seen the new documentary Dope Sick or seen billboards, addiction's not going away. It's actually getting worse, and it will get worse before it gets better. And I believe that I'm uniquely gifted to live in that world and love somebody in that situation. So that's an area that I'm really passionate about. And I ask you if you're watching this, and no matter where you're at on that spectrum of that conversation, that you're patient in that moment. So maybe you're a patient who wants to run in here and be a part of that. Be patient with us as we try and do it right. Maybe you're someone who maybe has a totally different opinion from me, and that's okay. I'm not saying mine is right. I'm just saying that's how I'm wired. But I ask you to be patient with me, and that I'd love to have conversations because I think that's how we grow. But that is, I would say, if I picked one passion over the rest of my career, it would be to find a way that really takes care of folks battling addiction.
Well, and Robbie, to be clear, that is another one of the things that drew me to you because it's an area here at the pharmacy because of DEA laws, because of the way our wholesalers are cracking down and those kinds of things that we've struggled to navigate, and we've done the best we could. And I'm excited about you coming on board to quite honestly challenge us a little bit in how we do that and how we navigate that. And like you said, it's a process, it's a journey. There's not an obvious answer from one size doesn't fit all to help somebody with addiction. And not only does one size not fit all, but every pharmacy, every healthcare entity handles it differently. And so I'm excited about the things that I believe you're going to bring to us so we can serve a population of people that desperately need people who care. And so we're stoked about that, that you bring that aspect to what we're doing. So we're excited about that for sure. So you mentioned that. So I'm going to transition just a little bit. We talk a lot about pharmacy.
Yeah.
There's one other pharmacy story though that I want you to tell, and then we'll transition to some personal. So tell me about the time that you were about to get promoted at a corporate job and why you ultimately didn't get the promotion. I love this.
I was at a chain pharmacy, and I was doing pretty well, climbing the ladder. That's what I was supposed to do. Um, and uh, I was interviewing. I'd reached a point where I was leading my own store and I was overseeing all the stores in our town. They called it a mini district. It wasn't official, but they were like, let's try this guy out. And I was interviewing in the emerging leader program uh, to be one of the youngest pharmacy supervisors in the entire company.
Sure.
And I went and interviewed with my boss's boss. And at the end of that interview, he says, my biggest problem with you is I don't think you're corporate enough. And I said, well, thank you. Yeah. And I love it. What that was, I mean, genuine. I was like, thank you. And he took such offense to that. But like corporate pharmacy taught me a lot of wonderful things. Sure. We need to have structure and order and certain things. However, I was never built to I was built to challenge authority a little bit. I've always been that way. If you don't believe me, ask my mother. I
And his wife.
Yeah, and my wife. Um, and what I mean by that is we make rules and we make policies and we make them as just pretending that everyone fits in that box. And when someone doesn't fit, it's not in my nature to accept, well, we can't take care of that person. So I will challenge that thing to say, well, how can we take care of it? What if we change this or this or this? And that doesn't really work in a corporate structure. They need one size fits all. And so in that conversation, again, I told you I've matured a lot. I I was not very mature in how I handled that. He and our conversation got a little louder, and I didn't work there very long after that. So yeah,
I love it. I love it. Oh, perfect. That's good. That's good. So again, it's kind of transitioning to more personal things. Tell me like personal passions. We've talked a lot about service and
yeah,
pharmacy and that kind of thing. Tell us about like Robbie. What are the things that he loves?
yeah. Well, I love the Lord first and foremost. I, I've had a faith that that has developed and will continue to develop, I believe, over my lifetime.
You're an interim worship pastor.
I am. I'm an interim worship pastor at again, you're like, why? So when I tell you I'm at River Oaks Church in Murfreesboro, and you're like, I thought you lived here. If you remember, I lived in Murfreesboro when we first moved here. And we have such a great community in that church, and God is blessing what we're doing.
But and you don't have to apologize for that.
No,
But because the truth is, there's a ton of people in Manchester that go to church in Murfreesboro. That's not terribly unusual. I mean, probably the most popular or the church that a lot of people go to, of course, is World Outreach
yeah.
there, and so there's a lot of
Pastor Allen's
people.
awesome, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, wonderful, wonderful, yeah, order for sure. But yeah, uh, I don't think you should feel like you have to
And that's
like
funny
justify and
that.
defend yourself. Yeah,
No, but when we moved here, I've always said I wanted my kids to go to church with their classmates, and to be a part of a group where they're going to go to church with their friends. And it's been difficult because man, the Lord keeps blessing what's going on up there.
sure.
I spent 8 years as a youth pastor when I was going through pharmacy school, and shortly thereafter, until I wasn't cool anymore, and I couldn't handle lock-ins. And uh, so I love playing music. Um, Even outside of the church, I play guitar. I've played guitar since I was a teenager. I started in a Leonard Skinner cover band. That's how I started in music.
Oh,
Even before I was singing in church. And
I saw something the other day. It said the '90s were great. I'm glad we have memories, but no proof.
yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, thank heavens there's no social media proof
Right.
of the mullet I tried to grow. But yeah, that music has always been it. I love sports. I was once an athlete, and I love coaching. I get to coach youth football, youth baseball, um, coach some. Well, I'm not really my son is funny. He's now playing football, which I can coach him in, baseball, which I can coach him in, basketball, which I haven't coached him in a while, and he's taken up swim, which we have a great swim program here. But I told him, I said, son, this is the first time I can speak nothing into what you're doing other than don't drown, because I can't give you nothing about swim. So sports is another huge passion, but uh, I've kind of hit that point. I think all of us parents do, where it seems like all I do anymore is just taxi my kids to the different places that we go. So I'm starting to, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I'm living through my kids a lot now.
Yeah.
Like the fun stuff they're doing is super fun to me. So
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Um, yeah. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
no, I know this sounds cliche, but I love this town.
Yeah.
And I'm incredibly appreciative of the way that this town has received me. Uh, Me and my wife and our kids, we came here, and I can remember some of the friendships developing at the ball field, um, through pharmacy, through our kids' schools, and some of my most dear and cherished relationships in my life are only 3 years old. Again, I'm a music nerd. There's a song I love. It's a Ben Rector song. It's called "Old Friends," and it talks about how the truth is there's nothing like old friends. You can't make them. And that's so true. Some of my high school friends that I played ball with and came up with, I love those guys. But man, the relationships I have in this town are super special. And I believe with my whole heart that it's because that God is doing something really special in my life in this town. So many blessings have come in a town that I couldn't have pointed out for $1 million. And I just want to say thank you. A lot of you have been a part of that. A lot of you are in that circle of people who've been super, super huge blessings to my family, and I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah. Well, we're super excited that you're in Manchester. We're even more excited that you're at Markham's Pharmacy now, which is where your home was supposed to be anyway. No, just kind of joking, but I'm just super stoked about where we're headed and what we're going to accomplish. I believe God's going to bless it because that's your heart, that's my heart, that was the heart of Ray and Jane and the whole crew when they started. That we just want to serve God and serve the people in this community and take care of them. As long as we keep doing that, I think we're going to be just fine. And we're just so glad to have you as part of the team. So here's the big things.
Amen. Yeah.
All right, awesome, awesome. All right, thanks for joining us. And if you watch this whole thing, again, you should probably get a coupon or something. No, but yeah, just come see Robbie and ask him. He'll buy you something. Just kidding. No, just joking, just joking. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one. All right, bye bye.